Hey guys, it's Nthabi here again, back with the APC series. And if you're new to my channel, welcome to the APC Plug family. So don't forget to like, share, leave a comment if you have any questions for me at the end of the video or with regards to any content that I covered. And don't forget to subscribe to be part of our APC series family. So since you're going to be one of us, don't forget to like, comment, share with your friends, as well as subscribe to be part of our family. If you have any questions, you can email the apcplug101@gmail.com and I'll be quick to respond to you. If you have any questions regarding APC, how to tackle it, be it you're a first timer, you are a repeater, everybody is welcome. So stay tuned for content that will help you on the APC journey to make sure that you are at a C level at the end of the year. So I got a request via email where the mentee was asking me, how do you tackle being a trainee auditor while having to meet deadlines, while having to just perform at work, and also balancing the board course, balancing preparation, balancing past papers, balancing research questions, and all of that, right? Because it gets very overwhelming, especially since we have tight audit deadlines. So this video, we are going to cover the work, life, and school balance. This is just a disclaimer that whatever I cover in this episode is not set in stone. You need to tailor it according to your lifestyle, because I do not know your day-to-day activities. I do not know what you get up to, on a day-to-day basis. So you need to tailor it according to, your lifestyle. So the first point I'm going to touch on is having a routine and sticking to it, right? The main principle with regards to the APC journey is having discipline, because now you are not only a student, you are an employee, you also a family member, you have responsibilities, and you have to juggle all of that while trying to pursue this APC journey. And at some point, you need to know how to have boundaries. You need to know how to say no to certain things. You need to know what to prioritize. And having a set routine is really going to help you, because it is setting out what you're going to do from the time you wake up, from the time you go to bed. And you need to make sure that you are productive in everything you're doing throughout the day and you're not wasting any time on anything. So the first thing I would advise is having a year planner, right? They sell them at CNA, PNA, and even Checkers, I think. So a year planner obviously has from January until December. So because we're already halfway throughout the year, we are in July now. So you are going to have a year planner where you are going to diarize all your classes, because your board course should have given you a roadmap on what's going to happen throughout the year leading to the December APC exam. So on your year planner, you're going to diarize, I have class 6 on the 9th of July, I have class 7 on the 10th of July, and I have an assignment or a quiz or a class activity I need to submit on this day. It is basically creating this mental picture that your mind, when it sees this calendar, it will see that I need to block out this day or this evening because I have class. That means I cannot work overtime. That means I cannot basically go out. I can't do anything. I'm blocking it specifically for board course material. And that is really going to help you, because that's when you create boundaries for yourself. But we'll cover that at the end of the video. And then while you're documenting everything on the year planner, it's also very important to include the number of leave days you will be taking and when, so that on this day I have class, on this day I'm taking leave, to work on the APC journey, to work on everything that I need to prepare, to be at that competent level towards the end of the year. So you need to know your schedule. You need to also know how you want to plan your leave, right? But we will discuss leave strategy towards the end of the video, but it's very important to also diarize your leave days on the year planner. So now once you have an outline of what is going to happen throughout the entire year, now it's very important to have a day-to-day schedule. So on your phone, or maybe you're going to write it down next to your year planner, you need to have a set routine for the day or the week or the month. I don't know how you like to break it down, but I always had a routine from Monday to Sunday what I am doing, right? So for example, in your routine, you need to state what time you're going to wake up. You need to state, okay, let's say from 8 until 5 o'clock you are working. And then what time you come back home. And what are you going to do from the time you come back home until the time that you sleep, right? You need to incorporate, if you're going to the gym, you need to incorporate whether you're going to have an outing or whether you're going to go to a church service or whatever. I don't know how your schedule is looking like, but you need to diarize that so that you know how many hours of the day you have left for the board course, right? Or for studying, because sometimes I know classes are only on a Monday or on a Wednesday, and then Tuesday and Thursday you are free. So you need to have a set routine from Monday to Sunday to know that, okay, on Mondays I have class, on Wednesday I have class from 6 until 8, and then after that I need to maybe at least spend an hour, and then on Tuesday and Thursday that's when I capitalize because my calendar is free. So having a day-to-day schedule will give you an idea of how you can just improve your hours to be more efficient, and also how to just make sure that at least in a day you are spending an hour on the APC board course material. However, there are 24 hours in a day. I need to know that I need to account for those 24 hours. I can't just say I am going to work, I'm doing board course, that's it. No, I needed to break down everything to be able to hold myself accountable that I'm spending at least an hour preparing for the APC. So then you'll break down your week into like a daily routine. Obviously, Monday's schedule will not look like Thursday's schedule or Friday's schedule, right? You know what you have during the week. You know whether you are going to, out with friends, you have indoor soccer or anything like that. So you need to prioritize what you're going to be doing. However, many people make this mistake that we think, okay, many people, meaning me, I made the mistake that I thought that I'm only going to pass APC if I'm studying 3 hours a day or 4 hours, 5 hours, I'm putting in the work. But it's not even like that, right? My mentor told me that if you're putting at least an hour a day, you are doing more than enough work, right? Because remember, I told you it's about quality more than quantity. It's about what you're doing in that specific hour. So you need to make sure that you are prioritizing the things that are going to help you on this APC journey, right? And obviously, when you are working overtime, you need to be able to know which days you are able to work overtime. That's why the yearly planner is very important. You know how your classes are scheduled. So if you know that you have class on a Monday, you can't work overtime on that day. You need to inform your line manager that, listen, I have class, I'm not able to work overtime on this day, right? So having that overtime schedule as well is very important. So when you have classes, for example, on Monday and a Wednesday, obviously from 6 until 8 to 8:30, you are busy attending that class, a live class, right? And after that, you can dedicate an hour from 8:30 until 9:30, where you're working on board course material, be it answering a quiz, be it doing the case studies that are already provided. So during the week, that's what I would do. I wouldn't do a past paper on my own, right? I had to wait for the syllabus of the board course to finish before I actually attempt the past papers on the SAICA website. So on a Monday and Wednesday we had classes. So from 8:30 until 9:30, I'll spend an hour. If I want to stretch it, I'll spend an hour, 30 minutes and sleep at 10 o'clock, right? So where I'm doing quizzes, past papers on the board course, the papers that are provided, the case studies that are provided. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, then that's when I would also do the material on the board course. So for example, if we were writing assessments, or if we had to practice case studies, or there was something that was published on the board course website, I would work on that material, right? So that's what I would do during the week. And then on weekends, I made it a personal mission to make sure that on weekends, I am not an employee. I am Hope, and I'm focusing on developing my skills onto the journey of passing the APC. So weekends are your personal days. Weekends are when you're able to really catch up on board course material, because we do understand we are employees at the end of the day, and sometimes it's overtime during the week. But weekends, you need to make it a personal mission to make that your weekend and not the weekend where you are an employee. Which brings me to my next point, right? We need to be able to exercise boundaries, right? Because at the end of the day, working papers still need to be done. It's something that we cannot avoid. However, when you're on the board course, when you are studying and you are juggling between work, studying, and also your life, I would say pick thyself and don't pick thy thing that's gonna hinder you from achieving your goal. So what do I mean? I mean, you need to have boundaries with the people you work with. You need to have boundaries with, your work commitments. I'm not saying don't do the work, no. But it's very important to let your line managers know that, listen, I'm going to take leave on these days, or I'm not going to be able to work overtime on these days because I'm going to be busy on the board course. What does that mean? It means I must put in hours. So obviously you are working for 8 hours or 9 hours during the day, and maybe you want to take lunch or whatever. Maybe sacrifice 15 minutes, 20 minutes from your lunch to work extra hours so that you are able to catch up on work, right? You need to make sure that you are done with your components, and you need to make sure that by the time you're not able to work overtime, you're already done with your work, right? But it is very important to make sure that you choose thyself, because at the end of the day, should something go wrong, God forbid, you will just get an email saying that we regret to inform you that you were unsuccessful and we heard that this is what happened. However, I still want my work, right? The work will always be there. So just make sure that at the end of the day, you are choosing thyself. So how does healthy boundaries look like, right? Remember, in a working week, we have 5 days. So obviously the days you have classes, you can't work overtime. So what I would suggest is maybe sacrifice 1 day in the week where you are going to work that overtime if you have an overtime budget at your client, right? So that is 3 days already. But however, remember I said when you have classes, you can still maybe have an hour after the session where you're working on board course material. So in the 5 days, only 1 day will be dedicated to overtime, right? And in that overtime, maybe do 2 hours or 3 hours to make sure that you are catching up. However, on the other days, make sure that you are working on board course material, right? Because now you can't feel bad because you want to put yourself first to make sure that you pass. You want to make sure that you are competent at the end of the year. So you need to create that boundary of, listen, as much as I want to help on this audit, as much as I want to, be a team player and make sure that we meet the deadline, I also have to make sure that I meet my deadline of passing on time, of passing, at the end of December. So this is the only way I can avail myself. This is the capacity that I have as a trainee to work overtime. So let's just see how we can, work something out between me as a trainee and my line manager. That is how the boundaries work. But with regards to weekends should be off limit, because you need to work on a weekend. You can wake up early to study and push the whole day. That is the day where you need to really push, because during the week you're at work. So weekends is something that you need to bank on. So that's why, you need to create those boundaries. But yeah, that's it with regards to healthy boundaries and how you should implement them. So we touched on Monday to Thursday, right? We haven't spoken about Friday leading up to the weekend. So on Friday, it's a personal decision whether you want to do board course or maybe take personal time off to go out and catch up with a friend, or maybe just relax, right? And unwind. I liked to have 1 day where I dedicate to just unwinding. I'm not doing any board course material. I'm not doing anything. My day of unwinding was on Sunday, right? Not on Friday. Friday, I was still catching up on school. And I told myself, I'd rather suffer for a few months and not have regrets, because I'm going to have a lifetime of pleasure, right? Because imagine you are sacrificing school and you're going out and doing all these things, and then you're going to have regrets. Let's say at the end of December, you don't get, that C, right? So I told myself that I need to sacrifice certain things. And if Fridays are what I'm sacrificing, that's something that I'm going to do. And then on Saturday, that's when I would focus mainly on the case studies that we were given, because the case studies that we were given we would have to do work on them, and then would have classes where we interact to discuss task A up to task G, or they would break it down. So I knew that I had homework. So on Saturday, I'll dedicate to that homework. I'll dedicate to answering the case study or doing pre-release research on that case study that we were given, right? So Saturday would be a full working day for me, where I am actually putting in the work on the APC board course. And then on Sunday, obviously, I said it's my slow day. So Sunday, obviously, we go to church and then spend time with family throughout the day. You are just relaxing, right? Then at night, obviously, you're going to prepare for the week to map out what classes you're attending. You need to just map out what work you're going to be doing, when you're going to be working overtime, when you're going to be attending meetings, or all of that, right? So that's what I would do on a 7 to 7 day. And then with regards to leave, right, I've been getting personal emails asking about leave, when we should take leave, and that again is also a personal choice, but also it is where you exercise now your boundaries, right? So I took leave, now we're in July, right? I took leave for my assessment 3, because on the APC board course, assessment 3 is the one that determines whether you get that certificate to grant you entrance to the APC exam, right? So that is very important. So I took the 5 days for the pre-release, as well as the 6th day when we were writing. So I took 6 days for the assessment 3. And then, unfortunately, I had failed assessment 3, so I had to take leave for the supplementary exam. But because it ran for 2 weeks, I didn't take leave for the 2 weeks. I took leave only for 2 days before we had to write. So that meant for 2 weeks after work, I am working on research. I am working on the triggers, right? On weekends, I would prioritize and capitalize on weekends, because it's a full day. I'm not expected to be an employee, right? And then I also took leave, believe it or not, I took leave in November for a whole month, right? So how did that work? At the organization I'm working on, you get a considerable amount of days for study leave when you're doing, when you are a student, basically. So I made sure that throughout the year, I'm not using my study leave days. I'm using vacation leave. And by the time I got to November, I had banked all my leave days and combined them with obviously vac leave and everything. And it amounted to a whole month where I am at home. Because the APC journey can just take a huge toll on you. So a month is something that I knew I needed, because I'm a person who panicked a lot. I'm a person who had imposter syndrome, right? Where I thought that, listen, I am going to maybe fail. I don't deserve being here. It's something that I also had to deal with along the way. So I knew I had to take a month just to collect myself. So it is up to you how you want to structure your leave. It is up to you also, according to your company policy, how many days they actually allow you. But I think just be very wary on how you want to structure your leave. I think that's why I said on your year planner, structure which days you're taking leave and how many days you will be taking, right? So just prepare yourself with regards to that, because that is also going to reduce your stress levels, so that you know that you're only spending this much time preparing for the APC before you even receive pre-release information, right? This is the time that you're taking off for yourself to just recollect yourself. So because I had 4 weeks, right, before pre-release was going to be out, like, what did I do? I'm sure you're wondering, what did I do in the 4 weeks? So the first week, I dedicated to my mental health. Because like I mentioned, that the APC takes a huge toll on you emotionally, physically, right? And it's a lot. So I took 4 weeks, and the first week was for my mental health. I just relaxed. I didn't touch a book. I would just watch Netflix and I would just chill. Because remember I said that I wrote assessment 3. And assessment 3 was written in venue. So we were at Gallagher. And when I wrote assessment 3, I had failed. When I got the results, I had failed. So I had to deal with the fear of failure again, because now the APC exam in December is written in person. So I'm like, I'm going back to the exam venue where I failed, right? And I passed the supplementary because it was virtual, it was online. So I had to deal with the fears of, am I going to pass? Did I pass the supplementary only because it was virtual? Did I pass it because we were not in venue? So I had to deal with those fears, because at the end of the day, APC is more mental than it is also about research, right? So I had to deal with that fear of failure, that imposter syndrome that I had before I could even do past papers for the APC. So in week 2, I dedicated it to compiling cheat sheets and things that are going to help me for topics that I know maybe will be triggered. For example, valuations and capital budgeting, and journal testing. And I mentioned this in the prior video that I posted. I spoke about preparation required prior to the APC exam. I covered all of that. So that's when I would scheme through the case studies we had already done in the board course to see if maybe when they asked me how to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement, how do they want me to answer, right? I would take those templates and then I'll take, the standard valuation and capital budgeting cheat sheet to know what to actually look out for, right? So it was that week where I had to check how does SAICA test and what response do they require from me when they are asking this. For example, if they say state your concerns, I needed to know, okay, concerns mean something is wrong. Concerns mean I have to look for what is wrong. I have to look for what is omitted, right? And then if they say critically review something, right? I knew that, okay, I had to state what is right. I had to state what is wrong. I had to state what is omitted, right? So I would look at how the answering is of an HC and a C candidate to know what I need to cover. So on a piece of paper, I would write those little tips that I just mentioned right now of critically review, all of that. So just go check out that video because it covers everything that I mentioned with regards to cheat sheets and what to prepare for, right? And then in week 3, this is when I did an actual mock pre-release information and exam day, right? Because I remember I mentioned in the previous video as well that I only studied or practiced one past paper, but I perfected my research and all of that in that 5 days. So I had to simulate, a mock 5-day pre-release period so that I can write a mock exam on my own. So I went to the SAICA website and I chose one past paper. And obviously first I skimmed through it to see whether it is something that I want to do and whether it's going to cover the areas that I want, right? I looked through the pre-release information, and then when I found the perfect paper for me, that's when I said, okay, on the Friday, right, I'm going to simulate a 5-day pre-release. So I started on Friday and then all the way to Tuesday, and then Wednesday I wrote the paper. The reason why I chose Friday is because for the APC exam, they issue out the information on the Friday. So I need to know what is happening in my daily routine on Friday and then all the way throughout the weekend. I had to also teach my family that, hey, when it's 5 days, please act accordingly, because right now I need to work towards the end goal of being a C. So I needed to inform my family, even for the mock exam, that listen, on these 5 days, I'm trying to practice. So when it comes to communication, I'm going to be scarce, right? So you have to prepare yourself. You have to also prepare your body, because your body must know you are waking up at this time when it's the 5 days. This is how you are doing it. These are the time allocations. The time allocation cheat sheet I also put up in the previous video. So just check out the template that I posted in the previous video that's for time allocation and take a screenshot so that you can also have it, right? So what happened in these 5 days is that I practiced how I'm going to even conduct myself in the 5 days. Example, I mentioned how I read the pre-release information and use highlighters. That's what I did, because it's what I'm going to do in the exam. So I practice how to use the highlighters. I practice how I'm going to use the templates, of answering. I practice how I'm going to write the keywords on the pre-release information. I even practiced that, okay, at this time, I'm going to the office to print. On this day, I'm going to the office to print. That's what I did. If I said that I'm going to spend time at the office to do a trigger, and then after that, I'm going to print it, I literally did that in the 5 days, because you have to see how things are. You have to see how far you live from the office. You have to gauge traffic so that you know, okay, this is the amount of time I need to dedicate to making my way to the office so I can print, right? And then the day before, I remember I mentioned in one of the videos that I had to stop at 2 o'clock, and then until 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, I was familiarizing myself with the file. That's what I did the day before the mock exam, right? And then if I said I'm relaxing from 6 o'clock onwards, I would watch a movie. That's what I did, because that's what I planned to do in the APC exam. And then on the day of the exam, remember, I had a template on the structure where it included the audience, the formats, the introduction, the conclusion, and then the gaps in between. I practiced that. Whenever I was reading the information of the day, I would highlight and fill in that template, because I had to simulate an actual APC exam to know that, okay, hope this is what is expected of you. So this is what I did. Exactly what I wanted to do in the exam, the APC exam, I did in the mock trial period, because I had to prepare myself to know that, okay, this is how the 5 days in the APC period is going to look like, right? So when I'm done with that, obviously you are going to reflect. Now we are in the 4th week, right? So in the 4th week, but before we get there, remember I said I wrote on the Wednesday, right? So on the Thursday, now you are going to mark yourself, right? You are going to take the grading grid on the SAICA website and mark yourself. You're going to see where you went wrong. You're going to see what worked for you, right? And then on Friday, this is when you are actually trying to figure out what worked for you and what didn't. So have a list from the Friday that you received information of things that went wrong. Have a list of things that went wrong. Have a list of things that went right, so you know what to continue. Things that went wrong is things that you need to stop or find alternatives for, right? So throughout the weekend, from Friday until Sunday, that's what I was doing. I was analyzing, okay, on Friday, maybe I received the information, and then I tried to actually do the research and industry research and like young pal, because I didn't know what was happening, right? I was all over the place. I was anxious or whatever. So we need to work on a strategy, how to calm down. Did the pre-prepared questions help? Did they not? All of that. So for the 3 days, you're going to just analyze what went wrong and what went right. And then now in the 4th week, right? The 4th week is the Monday before the pre-release information is going to come out, because it's going to come out that Friday, right? So in the 4th week, this is where you are just chilling, unwinding, calming yourself down. This is when you are going to go through the APC file, right? Remember I said the APC file must be your friend. Before you even have pre-release information there and the triggers that you are working on, obviously you have your cheat sheets, you have the format of the emails, the ethical examples, but you haven't looked at it because it's been a while. The 4th week, this is the time where you familiarize yourself with what is in the file. You highlight, you flag all the things that are in the file, right? So this is where you're practicing your flagging skills. So go through your file from the first divider until the last divider. I had 20, dramatic, but yeah, I had 20 dividers, right? I went through the dividers from 1 until 20 to make sure that I know everything that is in that file and it does not shock me when I'm in the exam, right? So that by the time you get your pre-release information and you add it to the file, the only thing that you're looking at is the information that you added in the trigger, the trigger file dividers, right? So when you're going through the file, you're not going through it from number 1 to 20, in those 5 days, no. You're only going through the file sections where you added the trigger research on the file. So if maybe you are wondering what to do if you don't have that month, right? You can break everything down, even if it's just 2 weeks. Just make sure that you're spending at least 2 days on your mental health, right? And then you're spending 5 days on how to prepare, have a trial run, 5-day pre-release period. Because out of everything that I did in the 4 weeks, what is more important is mental health and the 5-day trial run, so that you can see, right? Especially when it comes to traveling to the office to go print, you need to make sure that you know on this day there's traffic. Because remember, if you plan to print on Tuesday traffic is roughly the same. Monday traffic is roughly the same. So see and gauge how far and how long it takes you to travel to the office, right? And then just make sure that when you're done with the 5-day pre-release mock trial, you are going to relax and familiarize yourself with the file, right? So just make sure that even if you don't get a chance to do the cheat sheets, you are content with the work you already done, right? But if you know that you're not going to take leave for more than 2 weeks during December, make sure that when you're done with board course material in October, November, or from September, you can start collecting your cheat sheets. You can start looking at past papers to do that. You don't have to wait for December because that's already too late. So you need to make sure that you compile it, throughout the year. And then if you have the 2 weeks, then you're just focusing on unwinding, you're focusing on your mental health and the 5-day mock exam period. So if you don't have a whole month and you have 2 weeks or maybe 1 week, then please prioritize the things that I mentioned. So this is how my schedule looked like when I was an employee, trying to balance, the APC board course, trying to balance also preparation on my end for the APC exam. So I hope that it also helps you have a bit of structure with regards to going forward and how you need to prioritize your time, how you need to structure your time. But diarizing everything on a year planner will help you, even if you are creating your year planner and you're writing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday until Sunday. Do that if that works for you, right? So whatever strategy works for you, just make sure that you are committed, you are disciplined to that, because many people will say, I can't do it every day. I can't, at the end of the day, be disciplined with yourself, take yourself seriously so that SAICA can take you seriously. I think when you have the structure, when you have, the day-to-day planning, you should be fine. You should never worry about that. Remember, it's always about quality over quantity. So an hour a day on the board course material should be more than enough. So you should not stress yourself about that. And also one more tip, can you please be kind to yourself? Because I feel like I was so hard on myself and I put so much pressure on myself, right? So you are doing the best you can. You are juggling being a trainee in a high intense stress level, industry and environment. So you are doing great. An hour a day is more than enough. So don't think that you're not putting enough effort. Don't think that you are not taking yourself seriously. Don't think that don't compare yourself to your peers, because they are juggling what they can. They are doing what they can with their schedule. Your schedule is not the same as theirs. So comparison is a thief of joy. So just make sure that you're focusing on your own journey and you're focusing on you as a person, because at the end of the day, your mental health is what matters. So just make sure you're not hard on yourself and you give yourself a pat on the back if you're spending at least an hour on board course material. So this brings us to the end of the episode, and I hope that I was able to just provide some light. But if you have any questions with regards to what I covered in this video, please leave your questions in the comment section, and please make sure that you just put them there, because chances are, like I mentioned earlier, that the question that you might have, someone already has that same question. So help a brother out, help a sister out with regards to your question. And then if maybe you need one-on-one assistance, or you want me to further elaborate on what I meant on a point, then I mentioned that you can email me on apcplug101@gmail.com, and I will be sure to just attend to your email and try to address the issues that you are raising. But just make sure that you first include your question in the comment section so that it helps everybody else as well. So I hope you guys enjoy your day further.